Now, affection is an important topic because oftentimes we overlook the behavioral implications of giving affection. When we're giving affection, we're letting the dog know, this is what I want you to do. Do more of it. It's important to know this because oftentimes what ends up happening is that we end up giving affection at the wrong time because we're not realizing that giving that affection is letting the dog know that we want them to continue that behavior. Now, this doesn't automatically pertain to certain actions that they may be doing. It also pertains to mindsets that they're in. So if a dog is in an anxious place and we're giving it that attention and affection, we're letting the dog know, hey, I want you to continue to be anxious. And the reason for that is because there's usually some reason why the dog is anxious. And when we're giving that affection, we're letting them know that they are correct in their assumption. So if they're reactive towards other dogs and we pick them up and say, it's okay, come on, let's go. What we're letting the dog know is, yes, that thing is a threat. That thing is dangerous. We need to evacuate the premises as quickly as possible. So you see where the confusion can come in with the dog when it comes to giving attention at the wrong time. And that's not to say that we shouldn't comfort our pets when they're feeling insecure or anxious. That's simply to say that we want to be mindful of what exactly they're doing when we give that focus, that attention, and that praise. We also want to be mindful that negative attention is still attention. If we have a human child that is not getting attention, they're not getting affection, they're not getting that focus, they may start acting out, they may start doing bad things as a sort of subconscious cry for help that they need that attention. And so ultimately, they are getting it. They're going to get that attention, that negative attention, but again, it's still attention. So then the question becomes, how do we give that affection when the dog is doing something undesirable? If the dog is anxious, or if the dog is jumping, or if the dog is reacting towards something else, how do we offer comfort and affection while maintaining that understanding that whatever they're doing at the moment that I give them that attention, that affection, they're going to continue doing it. The key, as I've said in multiple different videos, is with any behavior modification, we correct, we redirect, and we praise. So if the dog is, we'll say for this situation, the dog is anxious, okay, I want to go back to the basics, go back to basic obedience, and ask them to sit. I want to ask them to lay down. I want to ask them to do something other than what they're doing at that exact moment, and then I'll give them affection. Another prime example of this being jumping or overexcitedness. A lot of people tend to confuse excitement with happiness. They think the only way to know that your dog is truly happy is if they are super excited. But we want to keep in mind that that level of excitement, that's not actually healthy. If we, as humans, were to stay in a constant level of excitement, eventually we would have a heart attack, or we'd have a stroke or something of that sort, because excitement does not equal happiness. So the dog is super excited when we have company or when we get home from work or something of that sort. When someone walks through the door, they start jumping around, they start jumping on the person, they get really excited and start spinning around them. And automatically our first reaction is to give them some sort of attention. If they're jumping on us, we want to push them off. If they're spinning in circles, we want to tell them to stop. We want to get them out of that excited mind frame. But what we don't realize is that we're still giving attention, so we're still letting the dog know, yes, continue this, and you will get whatever you want. So one thing that we want to do in that situation is to, again, be be careful of when and how we're giving affection. That's where basic obedience is going to come into play, because then we can ask them to do some sort of behavior. Be it sit or place is a great example. But we're asking them to do some sort of behavior, and then we give them praise, love, and attention. So that they know exactly what they have to do in order to get what they want, which is that affection. So the key when it comes to affection is to use it like you would a reward. Use it like you would any sort of treat that you'd offer to the dog. Be mindful of what the dog is doing when you're giving it attention. And again, negative attention is still attention. So be mindful of what the dog is doing when you're giving it attention. And if they're not doing something that you want, then give them another option. That's the biggest thing to remember. I've said it in many other videos. Dogs are not human. So anything that they do, however unseemly or even dangerous, anything that they do is completely natural to them. So we can't really get mad at them for performing a behavior that's in their nature. So our job as the human is going to be to offer an alternative behavior. And how do we do that? Again, we correct, we redirect, and we praise. In the situation with the jumping, for instance, our correction is simply going to be to either ignore the dog or to remove the dog to a desirable location. Ask them to perform a behavior, that's our redirection, and then give them all the praise, love, and attention that they want. That's how we're going to build that understanding that there's an alternative to excitement, or there's an alternative to whatever undesirable behavior they're doing right now. And a final note when it comes to affection, oftentimes we as people, we tend to focus more on the negative and forget to praise the positive, which is the exact opposite of what we want. We're going to get the exact opposite result if we stick to that formula. So what we want is to praise the positive. We want to remember, if your dog is just laying in the living room not doing anything, perfect time to go over and give them affection. If someone comes into the house and your dog is just wandering around, perfect time to give them affection. So we want to make sure that we're not simply trying to stop them from doing what we don't want to do. We're also letting them know exactly what they're doing right so that they can continue that behavior. So thanks for watching this video on affection. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comments below. As always, please remember to smash that like button. Don't forget to click that red subscribe button and join me on this journey of some minor dog training where I teach you how to train yourself to better train your dogs.